Hi everyone.
Hi guys.
Today is, I mean, what can we say here? This is, for Dan and I, this is a very, very special privilege. You may recognise this wonderful man to my left, to Daniel's right. This is none other than Sultan Pasha. Hello. What can we say? Hello, welcome.
So we're really excited. We've been incredibly fortunate and privileged in the past that some of the people whose works we've smelt and we've almost become to idolise and we've met. And Sultan Pasha is someone whose work and fragrances we've talked a lot about and we've tried to understand and maybe get inside the mind of the perfumer. And we now don't need to do that because he's here and he's been really generously offered to kind of share his time and his brain and his nose with us. I should preface this by saying we've just spent about 3 or 4 hours talking and sniffing and smelling, and it's been amazing the amount of knowledge and actually in equal parts knowledge and passion which Sultan has been able to share with us. So thank you for giving up your time. I think it feels like an interesting time to be talking to you. I feel it's a sort of crossroads or like a T-junction or some kind of interchange.
Not driving.
A transitioning, I would say.
Yeah, sure. So we know your work from Sultan Pasha Attars. I think that's what most people know your work from. Some people may have tried Visiteur by Visiteur, which was your collaboration with Russian Adam, and I think for all of us was the first sprayable perfume of yours, which we experienced. And for those of us who had tried your works, there were some real clear fingerprints.
Absolutely, yes.
Especially I felt in the kind of the dry down and the base, we kind of really got your fingerprints in your DNA. So before we get to the crossroads, maybe we can kind of backtrack and I know we're covering, so we just had a long conversation in the restaurant, but why perfume? How and why?
How?
Easy question.
Easy question.
How and why? Okay. How? When you ask how, what do you mean exactly?
I mean how? So you are not a trained perfumer in the traditional sense. You didn't train in chemistry and then go to perfume school. So how is it that we are buying and smelling your...
No problem. Answer. My background, I mean, up until my late 20s has been in sciences, chemistry, particularly biochemistry. And then, as some of my patrons know, I went into banking to support my family, and it was whilst working in the banks. I remember, when I used to count money behind the tills, I used to find solace smelling materials. So I'll be smelling any particular attars or oils that I used to buy, for the little money that I made from work at that time as a bank teller. And I'll be behind the till, counting money, smelling my hand, having a little piece, taking myself into an inner oasis, as you say, whilst trying to deal with the human baked beans that are baked bean cans that are in front of me. Because that job was literally for me like working in a baked bean factory. But fun times, not really. But it was, and then eventually I realized that, after my tenure in the banking, there was a point where, transition period, a physical transition period within me, because I went into illness, and it was during that illness, especially after recovery and, after I found out I was misdiagnosed, and once I stopped the meds, there was a new lease of life, I would say. For me, there was it was a new beginning. I didn't realize the significance of that moment until, as the time went on afterwards. And I remember, once I stopped the medications for, that time, I, just loved, smelling and tasting, smelling things and tasting food, because before then, at that time, I couldn't, because I would be feeling sick and wretched. Strong smells, any smells would make me feel very nauseous, and especially in terms of food, everything tasted metallic because of the antibiotics and the immunosuppressants I was on at that time. It was only after I stopped that is when I realised that, this new lease of life came to me. Praise be to God.
Exciting.
When you described it earlier, it's almost like what you were describing is almost like you had this kind of like new superpower. you kind of like, as if you this kind of reawakening, and then you realise
it's not exactly. It's not really superpower. I would say I have become, as a result, a lot. It's like being blinded and being able to see again. And you appreciate what you see a lot more, and you try to remember what you see a lot more. So for me, once I was able to taste properly again, smell things properly again, I was just being grateful, thankful. I was like, thank you, and every smell, every taste, the fact that I'm alive, trying to take that into consideration and getting the most of it. So in terms of smells, for me, I've always been passionate about perfumes as a kid, but I didn't realize how passionate I was. I didn't really think that I'll become a perfumer, because of course in terms of perfumery, it's such a, it's very expensive at that time. Even now it's very expensive. It was very expensive, and also the culture is quite elitist as well, unfortunately. So I thought, we'll never become a perfumer. However, praise to God, eventually here I am.
It's interesting you say that about the culture. I feel even in as little as the last 10 years, it feels that things have changed. That now with the emancipation from the internet, that more and more brands are kind of popping up more and more. But I suppose even when you were starting out, that was a kind of rarer thing. So when you in a lot of our kind of our chat over the last 3 hours, we've been talking about your love and passion and clear inspiration from like classic French perfumery, which is also
a man after our own heart.
Well, exactly. I was going to say something that Joe and I have talked about a lot. So how do you get from Mitsuko to Attars? I mean, I think that's in a way what's been surprising, or maybe surprising us, because Joe and I are people who are, I think sprayers through and through. So for somebody whose tastes are kind of largely centred in kind of Western, kind of French perfume, why Attars?
I've always been interested in Attars from a very, very young age. There's, I think there's a story out there which is truth as well. I was about 3 or 4 years old. I remember opening up my grandfather's old cabinet, and it was full of his oils that he brought back from Mecca and Medina.
Wow. And
I remember as a kid, I just poured it all on top of the cabinet. And it went like that, just literally just caked in Attars. And I remember getting, an interesting reaction from my mother and also my grandparents. Scolding. Anyway, so I've always been fascinated with those diddly little bottles from a very, very young age, and the intensity of those compositions. Attars to me have always been super intense, and I have a tendency to like intense things, and I personally myself have extremes of emotions, and for me I find that through Attars I can express myself extremely well.
That's
absolutely.
I think
we've smelt
that's
that, haven't we?
if you've seen our channel before, that there are a few, kind of a small handful of the fragrances in particular which we've spoken quite a lot. And if I were to speak about two, which I would say maybe the most kind of extreme would be kind of Thebes and Djedi, for instance. Personally, I would think, Thebes, as whenever I describe it, it's the one for me to kind of sit in a dark room and apply and maybe have a bit of a cry. It feels so inward looking and melancholic and unlike anything else, as opposed to Djedi, which there is there's a deep complexity you can enjoy about it, but there's also this kind of searing quality that you get from the Taif rose, which feels much more outward looking and much brighter and confident.
They're real experiences, though, aren't they?
And in terms of personality, feels very different from Thebes.
Yeah, I mean, Djedi is very much like, hello, I'm here, look at me. In terms of Thebes, I created Thebes after getting, or rather after smelling Djedi at Champs-Élysées, headquarters of Guerlain. And I'll never forget, and some of my friends who were there will never forget when the mouillettes were being passed around, and I just took myself out. I think you were in the Guerlain experience yourself. Upstairs. It looks like a sitting room.
And then they just bring bottles out. And
Exactly. Cool. And just imagine, as soon as that mouillette was given to me, I smelt it once, and I was like, nah. I stood up from the chair, I took myself to the quiet corner of the room. Everybody's going, what is that weirdo doing? I just stood there in the corner, just taking it in, just remembering, and I was like, I became totally introverted for that brief moment, by that beautiful work of art. And I said to myself, I have to recreate this in my own way. And then I remember I came back 6 months. For 6 months, I was totally obsessing over Djedi. And I remember I had various friends who had Djedi in their collection, the old Belle Epoque, the 1920s composition, and also the 1990s recreation as well. And so various people, thankfully, wonderful people sent me samples. And I remember night after night, because I wouldn't normally work at nights, night after night, just smelling the composition, trying to analyze it, and trying to figure out how it was achieved. And eventually I came to Thebes, which, for me, it is a, humble representation of the original work. But nevertheless, I'll try to capture the same mood, the same concept of life.
I was going to say, I, to be completely honest with you, I can't. In terms of smell, I couldn't describe to you exactly what Djedi smelt like. But in terms of mood, from what I remember of Djedi, Thebes feels very faithful in terms of mood, and I can't. In terms of notes and ingredients, I couldn't describe it. But
in terms of
personality and mood and how it makes you feel on your skin.
The whole idea, when I smelled Djedi, what I felt at that moment was the limitation of life. The fact that life is just a moment, full of moments, but it's a moment and it can just extinguish just like that. And so to live it to the max, to live it well, because death is just around the corner. And this is what Djedi reminded me of. I wanted to translate that into Thebes, and thankfully, hopefully, I've succeeded.
What a task! What a thing to try and put into a perfume.
The human condition and the element of mortality. In a 3 ml bottle. but then again, going back, if you've seen our channel before, the other one I keep banging on about a lot is Encens Chypre, which
fantastic,
very different in personality. I mean, again, for me, there's an obvious nod to kind of French classical perfumery, and when I wear it, I quite enjoy the fact that I think, I can't put my finger on it, but there's elements of some fragrances, and certainly the feel of some classic fragrances but yet this still kind of smells different. I don't feel like I'm not wearing a version of that. I'm wearing something different.
I mean, in terms of Encens Chypre or any composition I try to create, it is about my own personal preferences. It is about reaching. For me, it is trying to reach a certain level of inner peace. I mean, everyone has got inner turmoils. Certain people have more than others. Unfortunately, or fortunately, rather, I'm one of them. Have a lot of inner turmoils. You know, I would say I'm my worst enemy. But you know, hopefully, God willing, I'll try to create something beautiful out of this turmoil. And for me, the way to do that is via perfumery. So, regards to Encens Chypre, you know, I've always been a huge lover of Chypre and that genre. And one of the biggest, for me, in my opinion, the best Chypre, hands down, Mitsuko. And but I wanted to create not my own version of Mitsuko, but the elements of Mitsuko, which I love, and accentuate that even more in an oil version. Thus, Encens Chypre. You know, so through studying a classic, try to do my own, you know, interpretation of certain facets, but not all of its facets, because, you know, at the end of the day, Mitsuko is a true and absolute masterpiece, and I will never do justice to that.
So, I'm getting a waft of oak moss. Is that from the Mitsuko that you're? I just suddenly got, as you're talking, I got a real waft of oak moss. Anyway, so there's this obvious nod to classic French perfume, and we've got some absolute kind of archetypes over here, which we might talk about in
I wish you could see these because they're very exciting.
We'll come to that in a moment. But and the slight other side, if you will, which you've nodded to with Jiraiya, but perhaps is a better example. I remember when Joe first smelled, do you call it Aurum, Dunkel, or Aurum? Aurum. I mean, Joe was kind of amazing. Like, oh my God, I'm taken to a different world. And, you know, the notes of, you know, saffron and oud, which you don't encounter in classic French perfumery, and when you wear it, you feel as if you are in a not just a different place, a different culture, a different world.
Yeah. It's a completely different world, isn't it?
And almost, I mean, there are some kind of DNA fingerprints running through it, but it almost feels like it could be a different perfumer. It feels like we've gone from Guerlain to, you know, thousands of miles away.
I mean, talking about Aurum Dunkel. You see, with Aurum Dunkel, any work that I create is all, for me, is a you know, I have to fully immerse myself. So, regards to Aurum Dunkel, I try to create the most, my interpretation or my expectation of ultimate luxury, and I try to picture myself as being, you know. I mean, I don't know if you're a reader of Alexandre Dumas, Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh, right, yeah.
Count of Monte Cristo, Edmond Dantes. He's dressed up as a sultan right now. He's inside the cave, and he's invited the son. I think the son of Danglars and Maximilian, I forgot his name, and they were in the cave, and the cave was just covered top to toe in the most beautiful Persian carpet. There's food laid out, most amazing food, richest food, roses, gold, silver.
Beautiful.
You see what? And that's the
opulence.
True and utter opulence, and that is what I wanted to recreate with Aurum Dunkel.
Yeah.
That's the image that I had in my head when I was recreating that, because, you know, it's one of my favourite books I used to read as a kid. You know, Count of Monte Cristo.
That's so funny, but you've got your reference point is a classic French book for a fragrance which, you know, for us, like, it feels a departure from French.
But it's a great fusion in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, for me,
that sort of journey.
At the end of the day, because for me, all days is written. It's a French book. Edmond Dantes, he's just come back from the Orient. He's totally, immersed himself in the Oriental culture. And now he's trying to impress these two, these two boys in front of him with this huge layout in this cave or grotto, wherever it was. I was, for me, it is, I don't really try to see it in terms of styles or, any form of cultural value. I try to create what I try to create just to please my own taste, if that makes sense. And then go from there. I don't really see what style I wish to create something. I'll just do it. If I have some sort of inspiration or if there is this hunger within me to create something, I'll just go for it and just do it. Because if I have the ability, why not? If I have the materials, why not?
So that's potentially a good segue to my next question. So we are now at the point when you are making alcohol kind of based sprayable perfumes. Whereas up to now you've stuck with Attars. So just before we talk about your forthcoming fragrances, why was it that it wasn't a mixture of Attars and sprayable perfumes? Was there any?
Really and truly, most important thing for me was, especially regards to my brand, I worked so incredibly hard to get it where it is right now. And when it comes to the sprays, I want everything from start to finish absolutely perfect. Inshallah, God willing, as we say. And for me, it was a huge journey for the last 5-6 years to find the right factories, to work with. Because
for the sprayable,
so
you're talking about like oil factories who are going to do the compound.
Exactly. So and that was quite a Herculean task for me, because there is so many of these factories out there, but unfortunately all the ones that I went to, apart from one, wasn't right for me. They just didn't have either they didn't have the right ingredient, or rather they didn't have the right style or understanding of execution of the work, or they didn't have either.
I mean, was it scary, or is it scary to up until now you've been in kind of complete control? I imagine you've had all of the own materials you can handpick and go, well, this one from here, this one I can order from here, this I've got complete control. I will do the compounding myself. And now you are having to let go. Do you feel you've had to compromise or change, or?
Not necessarily. I would say some of the compositions are becoming a lot more refined, have become a lot more refined. I've learned a lot more, and there's potential for me to learn a lot more in the future. And also I've been exposed to many more new materials and new techniques going forward, which can just take hopefully, God willing, this brand onwards and upwards. And in terms of, this is the thing you say about trust. Trust is a very important thing for me, especially with regards to my formulas. They're incredibly precious to me. So for me to find, that's why for many years I had to, it took me a long time to find the right people to work with, or rather the right factory, the right company to work with, and eventually I found it, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. And basically, I can't wait to see everybody else's reaction, because in my opinion the compositions are the spray compositions,
they're right here. I mean, it's so exciting, isn't it? Because I'm speaking personally here. I have always had a bit of a fear of Attars. I've never bought any. I'm going to change that now, but I've never bought any because I thought, how do I wear them? am I going to tip the whole thing out by mistake and then it's all gone? What do I do? So I was longing and praying and thinking, oh, I hope Sultan comes out with some sprays.
But
I'm a baby, so I like things as I like them.
But yeah, and I think that there is a huge case. I think there are lots of people that are exactly the same, and they are scared and they don't understand, and they think, oh, if only I could have a sprayer. And I certainly, I kind of dipped my toes in a bit, but I was always like, I mean, I have been, I haven't done this, I promise, but I have been tempted to think, because I got some Perfumer's alcohol, I think, if I just dilute this and put it in, but I thought, no, it would be bastardising it. It's
naughty. We've got a paddle around here.
We'll get one for him.
But I think, so now, we've got 3 projects, 3 sets of releases. Is that
for this year? Yes.
So we've got a release for Zoologist, which is a brand we've talked about quite a lot. A release for Visiteur, which is a brand we've talked about as well, and then your own. So will that be Sultan Pasha
Perfumes? Yes.
Yeah, perfumes. What should we talk about first?
Yeah, lead the way here.
Release?
Well, I was going to say to you, do you wish to smell the classics before you want to smell my work, or
should we? I mean, maybe we should actually, just to get
a little bit of inspiration.
Actually,
because these are references to you, aren't they? These are various reference points.
Actually, we'll smell these. Actually, no, we'll smell the sprays now.
Okay, let's have the sprays now. So Zoologist? Should we start? Is it okay to start with Zoologist?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Then just line them up.
We're keeping a secret to the animal.
Yes. So we have.
You can't know.
We have. We guessed.
No, don't even try.
It's not the short-spined Peruvian mongoose, in case you were wondering.
Nope.
Honey badger?
Nose at a skunk.
No.
So one thing I've got to say again, Zoologist is a brand we've talked about quite a lot, and we've followed, maybe not from the very start, but we loved the way that Victor obviously puts an enormous amount of thought and care and love into this brand, curating this collection of animals and fragrances and perfumers.
Yeah. It was a real fusion made in heaven, wasn't it?
And he's
he did it.
and I particularly loved, it seemed especially in the early years, that he was just handpicking some of the greatest up-and-coming artisanal indie perfumers. And it's been interesting, in the last few years, he seems to have gone to some of the bigger oil companies, like IFF, and perfumers from there. And it's been a real treat oh God, he's spraying. I'm very excited now. That he's gone to.
You're so lucky.
I think I described you. Oh my God.
You know it's going to be good.
I'm watching these two very carefully.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Oh God, that's got a huge amount of smile to it.
Yeah. Do you know, this takes me back to being a little boy, and I don't know why. There's something when I was a little boy that this reminds me of, like some happy occasion or happy place that I was in.
There's an amazing, I feel like it's an incense, but there's a lot of smile to it, and there's almost a kind of a
really
citrusy gleam to it, but already there feels like there's a kind of a resinous warmth.
There's a green, like a green, gently animalic green, funky, happy thing going on here. I can't even put my finger on it.
Keefy.
Yes.
Because Keefy has got galbanum in there. So that's where the greenness has come from.
And
that's so beautiful.
Thank you.
That is so beautiful. Oh my God.
That galbanum is also just, it's giving me other reference points. It's it's something.
I mean, galbanum to me almost smells so bitter and almost toxic, like something you shouldn't put anywhere near your mouth. It's the opposite of edible to me. But here I've tried to render it as edible as possible.
And there's a softness to it, isn't there? There's a round, soft.
Because in the ancient times, Keefy was also eaten, treated like a chewing gum by the ancient Egyptians.
There's some kind of animalic purr in that.
Yeah.
Even though I feel there's a great feeling of brightness and smile, but I'm also getting something warm and slightly.
There is a warmth to it, isn't there?
Underneath. It feels sophisticated, yet there's a bit of feral.
A bit of naughtiness.
Do you know, that's just so well balanced, isn't it? All of the elements just seem
And I'm now getting a kind of almost winey, not but as in wine, as in the drink. Plummy.
Wow.
What? Oh yeah, there's
plummy, yes.
So initially on first spray there was again almost I got a kind of bright pale yellow colour, and now I'm getting a rich claret.
What do you? I mean, interesting question. When you smell this each time, do you pick up different things that you yourself didn't notice the last time? I mean, is it a voyage of discovery for you? I mean, it's a silly question because you made it.
Sometimes. I would say beautiful. For me, this composition, praise be to God, has gone in the direction that it needs to go, as I wanted it to go, as I envisioned it to go, if not more.
Yeah.
So what I'm already starting to get in is what I got, I think, when I smelled Civet de Nuit is something in your base, which is not this kind of warm, round amber, which kind of hug, which I get underneath. And even though we're just smelling it just on card or first spray, and there are bright incense notes, but there's
benzoin.
Yeah.
Benzoin. I'll tell you about benzoin.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, isn't it?
Benzoin, the foundation.
But there's that, it fills the whole thing. There's a great feeling of of this. It feels like there's a lot of space because it's not top heavy. It's actually base heavy as well, but top heavy with a lot of space right the way through.
It's very three-dimensional, isn't it? But without being loud or forceful in any way. It's just.
I think
it speaks very loudly.
I'd love to wear this on skin and see how it performs because I'm getting the feeling of this, this.
Give me your hand.
Oh yeah, that'll kind of solve it.
There you go. Do you want some?
Oh yes, please.
Of this kind of Sultan Pasha.
Thank you.
Oh, see, I get more kind of aldehydic twang on skin actually, and I feel there's more of a burst. I get almost like a lemony fresh, almost like a lemon meringue pie, like fizz.
Yeah, more
more
sort of cakey and.
Because a lot of incense does have a kind of lemony. I remember when we first smelt some raw materials with Sarah, she gave us something and we were like, "Oh, what is that?" And we said, "Oh, it's lemon. Is it some kind of citrus?" And said, "No, it's frankincense."
Yeah,
and I think a lot of like frankincense or Libanum does have a kind of citrusy quality,
especially material like elemi.
Yes.
Elemi is absolutely wonderful. It's, lime and lemons galore.
Oh God, yeah. I get more. Actually, weirdly, on skin, I get more of that kind of fresh, bright.
Yeah.
That's going to soon give way to darkness.
Yes, and actually, but now it feels
the journey's going to be bigger here.
Familiar or Libanum-y. I mean, when we first walked at the church after lunch today, you open the doors and you get this waft of burnt incense, and obviously this isn't burnt incense. This is it's gone very incensey now, hasn't it?
Yeah, still very fizzy and bright, and it's so energetic.
But I'm already starting to get that slightly rounder underpinning resinous.
I'm getting
into funk
sticking your nose in the belly of an animal.
Funk.
Yeah, funk accord. But it's so good because
it's very human.
It's so perfectly balanced between being funky and dirty, and kind of clean and inviting.
I didn't want it too much. I mean, like for example, Kuros to me is bathroom cake, toilet cake. That's what it is. The urinal cake. And Kuros is a juxtaposition between clean and dirty. But here I wanted the dirty element to be very slight and the clean element to be a lot more prominent. But the dirtiness, that human dirtiness, to be there still regardless.
It definitely, it's almost like a worn perfume. Almost I'm smelling it off. I mean, I know I'm smelling it off someone's skin. It's off my skin, but it's the effect of smelling off someone else's skin.
Human being plus perfume.
On skin, what I was saying, that feeling of that, I feel is amplified. The bright feels brighter, and that warm. I definitely get a little more funk on skin, I think.
That's so good.
And
so
of
well
course, because of the animal, that funk is only going to get slightly stronger as time goes by.
done. Yeah. Watch this space, because this is something you'll not expect.
Talking about mood,
Beautiful.
I think this feels happier and more optimistic than I thought the notes list kind of suggested. Not to say there isn't kind of depth, but I think you can have depth and happiness.
Yes.
Whereas this is making me happy.
It's inviting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very much drawing us in, I think.
And it's also got that Sultan Pasha of turn the lights off and bury your hand in your wrist kind of thing. if you want to, it's happy and it's bright, but it's also
It's got that melancholy.
Yeah.
yeah, actually,
Right there behind it. That was very clever. And there's such personality in it. You know, this is the thing. It feels like it's been made by a human being that loves perfume and loves speaking it through perfume.
For me, this composition was definitely a labour of love. Totally immersed into it, and and had to learn quite a lot, as I told you when we have the food. I committed myself to learn about ancient Egyptian perfumery, especially about kifi, the different forms of kifi, and or kaifi, how it's pronounced, and also learn about the resins used during mummification. And for that, I went to the seminars, for example, the seminars by Dora Goldsmith, and also attended her online seminars as well. From that, learnt quite a lot, and I incorporated the knowledge that I got from her in terms of the kifi accord here, and also she helped me as well as you have Joanna Venables as well from Not Perfumes. You also really helped me learn about kifi as well. So I tried to get information about kifi from various sources, from Dora, from Joanna, also various books, various literature that I had to study just to get more information, more in-depth information about about the form, not only the formula but how it was used, and so that I can then twist it in the way I wish to twist it in terms of composition. So for me, it was very important to create a composition that has got quite an accurate representation of this historic material, because kifi is a very historic material. It's one of the first perfumes of humanity. So for me to do a accurate representation of it, for me it was a honour to fully immerse myself to learn about it.
It shows in the perfume, doesn't it, that you've taken the extra time and care.
It doesn't feel like a normal incense fragrance somehow. Do you know, it hasn't gone down that. Because I'm getting these kind of like plummy wine notes as well, which I wouldn't expect, and I certainly wasn't expecting from the first spray, and I wouldn't expect generally from.
I mean, at the end of the day, wine has got quite a strong scent to it anyway, and the thing about wine is it was used in binding kifi together. So in terms of kifi, because in those days they didn't have the distillation apparatus, so they couldn't really distill, frankincense oil or myrrh oil. They just had the resins, and in terms of resins or the barks or or the balsam, and the only form of liquid they had, real liquid they had, was the wine. So the wine was acting like a binder agent. So it was important.
Like a carrier.
Yeah, it was a carrier. It was a carrier. It was, it was literally just to stick everything together. But for me, wine has got a strong scent to it, very strong scent to it. And once it is mixed together with materials such as frankincense and myrrh, it becomes a lot more pronounced. But just to make sure people know, reiterate, I haven't used real wine here. There's no real wine in there, but I try to mimic it in a molecular level and recreate that same scent.
It really works.
I'm going to slightly go against what I said a moment ago. Actually, now I'm getting it. It feels a bit moodier. I told you. Yeah, I feel what was drawing, what was coming out to kind of greet me is now drawing me in.
Mm-hmm. I told you.
There's a melancholy nod.
And I'm getting this. Because initially when I first sprayed, I was thinking I don't really get ancient Egypt and mummies. I felt it was so much more kind of modern, I suppose, and energetic enough. And I'm now getting, I don't think it smells like Thebes, but I'm getting that kind of that same feeling of being
ancient books
sealed in a tomb with like the smell of old stones.
It's kind of haunting, isn't it? Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right.
It's just
we're only kind of minutes in.
I am so happy that happened. I did tell you, I did warn you, it's going to change, it's going to get...
It's changing quite a lot, actually. And actually...
For me, a good perfume must have... It shouldn't smell same from start to finish. There must be stories it has to tell.
Yeah.
There has to be transitions. So...
Like, I now feel that I've got some kind of snapshot of the ancient... It's difficult to kind of put into words, but like I've opened the door to a tomb,
Yeah. It smells like somewhere you shouldn't be.
Yeah,
this is a private place.
Before I felt it was very much alive and it was energetic and buzzing with people, and now I feel it's not that it's dead, but
it's buried. It should be buried.
It's so good.
Wow, I can't wait to see how that lives.
Yes.
Or dies.
Do let me know how it carries on. So onwards and upwards.
Yes. So what do we have?
Crikey. So
so we will start. Okay. The thing is with the Zoologist, because that is quite strong. So I'll go with something. So go with SPP, and then we'll go to Visiteur.
So this is your sprayable fragrances. So what's the plan with those? When are you hoping?
Hopefully August. Mm-hmm. August, September, they should be fully ready.
And will they be through your kind of like your current website or no?
They will be available worldwide, God willing, from various distributors. So no more, what's the word, logistical problems that you have with, when it comes to shipping from me, because of course I'm a one-man operation. And I'm incredibly grateful, to the patrons out there who have repeatedly, helped me, and also invested in my work. And thank you for believing in me. And thank you, most importantly, thank you for your patience, because I know that a lot of you have to be incredibly patient because, because I'm a one-man operation. When it comes to the oils, it can take a bit long time for me to process the orders.
I've no idea what you mean.
Of course you don't. Of course you don't. But you're one of them. Thank you.
But come on, when you're getting work of this quality and this love and dedication, you can damn well wait. I'm sorry. I'm with you here.
Said to me, I remember when I asked someone, people said to me, and then I said to people in turn, it's worth waiting for. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, but these are your first of your own brands.
I'm so excited about it.
Correct. So this one is called, I'm not going to tell you guys, but these guys know.
Ah, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. There you go.
Lovely. Now, this is a note that I don't know very well, and I'm always keen.
I've got some Absolute.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. God, that's big. And it's a note sometimes when I encounter it, I don't like it, but here it's jammy, and it's kind of jammy and rich
and that's funky as well.
Syrupy and kind of overripe. Like I'm almost. So I definitely get kind of like this chewy floral, but I'm also getting peaches left in the sun and over-ripened.
Yeah, there's just a syrupy,
fermenting
sweet thing
to like make peach wine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But not going to that point.
No.
Thank goodness.
But the kind of jamminess. Oh, and definite funk.
I think it's very funky. Yeah.
It's almost as funky. Yeah, it's
Very
definitely it's a funky flower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That has changed very quickly.
Yeah.
That's sort of taken me in
Gone
and then
from
gone,
juicy
wow.
to kind of like thick and leathery, as you would kind of expect.
From the absolute.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm definitely kind of getting a wine or a liqueur quality. Mm-hmm. Yeah, boozy and thick and heady, and
I get like a varnishy thing that I love sometimes.
yeah, I was going to say kind of a resiny, varnishy,
Yeah.
polished wood.
So some lacquered effect. God, I tell you what, if I saw a bottle with that name on it, me being me, I would automatically think, oh no, that's not for me. Where's this or where's that? And I smell that and I think that's an absolute masterpiece.
Thank you.
Oh God, yeah,
That's just confounded my expectations completely.
But it smells very close to the absolute, no?
it does. But whenever I've encountered that note,
Yeah.
we're kind of skating around this expensive floral, fruity floral material. But whenever I encounter it in perfume, it doesn't smell like the absolute. I think of Alien Man, in which it's absolutely horrendous.
It's a mess.
Sorry, I've maybe given away what the.
Also, even like a little hint of blue cheese or something.
But I also,
it's
I'm
so
also getting
incredible.
some
I can't
other fruit.
describe
I
it.
get some apple, some tart, like cooking apple.
Crab apple.
Yeah, crab apple. Yeah, that's that. And with that apple, a kind of segue to some kind of floral qualities. And I'm now picturing more of an English summer garden. It's taken me away from that overripe peaches.
I mean, on skin, this one here is quite intense on skin, but from outward, it is very airy. Very airy, very fresh, quite peachy from the outward from the skin. But if you go inwards, it's quite, funky.
Yeah, I guess,
That's
people
interesting,
don't
isn't it?
actually
Yeah.
wear perfume like that, do they? It's important to remember. It almost feels like a kind of soliflora. It almost feels like a study on the facets of this one thing, and it's just gently. Again, this is only the first few minutes of it kind of shifting. Only a few minutes of it smelling, and it's shifting, and we're getting shards.
It's so playful. I'm getting like a tobacco.
I was just about to say, I'm getting a dried tobacco, really dried, very tobacco-y, almost like a hint of
And tea even, like a bag of tea bags or something.
That's it. It's all like dried out tea bags.
Good.
Mixed with the jammy.
How do you do this?
Loads of tea, yeah. And again, there's that hint of that slightly ambered Sultan Pasha DNA, which he's going to say is benzoin again.
Benzoin.
Oh God, it's amazing, isn't it?
It is really incredible. It's really, really incredible.
God, it's quite addictive.
It is really so addictive.
Well, what just makes you go,
It's so sensual as well. It's so sensual.
There's also, as well as the kind of fruity, winey, fermented, there is a creaminess. I get also a hint of like peach fromage frais or something.
I like that.
Delicious.
Do you know what I mean? You can just imagine it's like just resting on your tongue, that creamy peachiness. Oh. Again.
Next one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolute wow.
Oh, good. But it's amazing. Can we just quickly come back to the Zoologist? Lots of wine. Lots of wine. And again, it feels slightly austere, even though there's a slight human hug.
But it's very creamy and round.
But there is something. There's something. Or is there something floral in there? I don't remember seeing anything floral, but.
Lotus.
Oh right, okay, right, yeah. So I'm now getting this kind of austere floral.
Yeah, it's a blue lotus accord. I mean, the blue lotus accord is there from start to I would say from the start till the end of the middle. But the base is when truly the Keefy accord comes into play. But the flower itself, I mean, is quite a interesting but strange floral. which I, thanks to JK from Just Lab from Phoenix, Rising Phoenix, he thankfully sent me 4 or 5 different samples of different distillations of Blue Lotus. So I studied it. I had to study it, and try to recreate it. Using naturals and synthetics, and create my own accord, basically Blue Lotus accord, because of course the natural material itself is so rare and so incredibly expensive. Chances are you probably won't find anywhere that will have kilos. Yeah. Probably the whole world will probably have 1 kilo of absolute, if not less.
But I do feel I'm now kind of getting that, and if it seems to kind of go with that slightly austere,
that
cold.
Yeah, the keefy is coming through.
Yeah, it's very beautiful though. It still makes me smile. This is incredible.
And it's chalk and cheese when you smell the.
The Scottish play. We can't say it.
Okay, next one.
But I'm buying that, and I'm buying that.
So we can't reveal the name.
So what is this in terms of? This is one of yours.
This is one of mine.
Oh yes. Okay. Hello.
Oh, lavender.
Bingo.
Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, kind of big but yet transparent. It does not have that potpourri.
But there's already smoke coming in through the background of this.
Yeah, and
right behind the lavender.
There's quality to it. There's a. God, that's a really kind of elegant,
amazing.
like clean, beautiful lavender.
And I created this lavender. On a couple of notions really. There was actually 3 intentions behind it. The vision behind creating this lavender was, how you were talking about being the fields of lavender and smelling the hay in the sunshine. I was trying to create a similar thing, but lavender fields in Provence in May.
That's amazing.
Just standing in the middle of that field. That's what I want to recreate here.
What is amazing is, going back to the lavender fields I was talking about, is if you go wearing shorts, at the end of the day, the smell on your legs of all the lavender that you've been rushing through.
But I also get behind the lavender as well. I'm getting almost like I don't know what it is, but that smell of like really hot concrete.
Correct.
Like sort of
almost like a hot floor.
Yeah.
From the sun-baked floor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but there's a kind of slight creamy underbelly as well.
Touch of sandalwood.
But I get you. I'm getting that slight baked earth.
Oh wow!
So that sun-baked earth is something I really want to recreate. I mean, I've never been to Provence. I would love to, but I've been to lavender fields before. Small things, just like you. Just standing there, just feeling that wind hit your face.
Yeah.
But sun from sunny, hot wind, and that smell of lavender.
It also feels like there's something. Is there geranium or something? Some kind of like, kind of not mentally, but kind of fresh, not quite minty, but how geranium has that kind of minty florally.
There is a bracing cold quality, isn't there, as well as the heat.
It does feel. There's a lot of classic Fougère-ness.
So I based this around what I told you about, about Provence, but also another thing was I remember the first time I met Luca Turin. First time I met Luca Turin, of course when I presented to him my samples, which both you know about, and I remember he was having a conversation with me and my friend Nathan. He was like, "One can never find a good Fougère. What's happened to lavenders? Why is there no lavenders here?" And that stuck to my head. So I thought, you know what? Hopefully one day he will get to smell this. This is my lavender.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's almost.
I think that's fantastic.
It's not quite a solar floor, but it could almost be almost a solar floor. Just taking all the best bits, not necessarily smelling like lavender, but if you were to conjure up your best bits of a lavender and kind of. Purify it somehow.
Somehow, this plays the amazing trick to my nose of being a really hot day, but also a really cold day.
Yeah,
I can't explain it.
Yeah, because it's not cloying at all. it's
No.
not heavy and
It's very airy, very, very.
That's it. A lot of air in it, a lot of light.
it's very, very different from the. Wow. When you go back to the previous one, it just feels so like boozy, thick, jammy. Wowzers.
It makes me so happy that you're making perfume like this.
Oh, thank you.
That it exists in the world. You know what I mean? That's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Next one. Let's see if you can guess which one this is. But you can't tell these lot here. Eeny and meeny.
Thank you very
Let's see
much.
if you can guess what this is.
So irisy. Oh God.
Beautiful iris, sort of papyrusy.
Oh, okay. It feels more.
Refined.
Yes. Well, yeah. I wouldn't have got iris
interesting.
off the bat from the original. Oh, and I get more of the. It feels more incensey and more bright. I mean, I guess it's because is it just because I'm, applying it in a different way?
Exactly.
So this is. I'll cut this out if you don't want me to say this, but. So
That's right, you can say it.
this is a sprayable version of one of your existing
Correct.
fragrances. So how much changed is the formula? Did you to get the same effect whilst diluted?
The only change I would say
Incredible.
would be really.
Incredible.
Give me a hug.
Absolutely. I've got an
Yeah.
absolutely incredible.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Oh.
Alhamdulillah.
Oh my
That
God.
means a lot because you know what? This one here was an absolute class A BITCH to recreate. And I mean, I must have gone through about 10, 15 mods of it. It was such a pain to make, but eventually we've done it. And if not, I would say this excels more than the original, in my opinion.
Oh, amazing! I can't try. Can I try a bit of it on the skin?
Of course you can.
I'm going to
I'll be
run out of
honoured.
skin, but
I'll be honoured. There you go. You want some, Joe?
Oh yes, please. That's incredible. Thank you very much.
oh, amazing! Yeah, I get an irisness, which I didn't get so much in the original, and the incense feels.
It's
more
so
vivid in
arresting,
this.
isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
it's
so
so-
arresting.
Oh, and on skin I get. Oh,
But the,
yes.
the depth and the
Yeah.
the
It feels
the
more.
roundness
It
is
feels
coming
more
already.
familiar on skin than it does on card. I guess because I haven't put the other one on card before.
Exactly.
Oh right, yes. Okay, now it feels much more. Yes. Oh my God, I can't wait to wear this.
That is really stupendously good, isn't it?
Thank you.
It
It means a lot because, God, I remember there were nights where I was losing sleep over it, over trying to recreate it. You were asking about the formula, if the formula is exactly the same. The formula is exactly the same. However, it was painful for me because I had to. Well, formula is not exactly the same. Formula is exactly the same, apart from one element: oak moss. The oak moss I had to cut back to minimal, to basically what is allowed by IFRA.
Yeah.
So that's the only difference. But apart from that, the formula is exactly.
But actually,
same.
but I get there's a tremendous more than I was getting on card. There's a tremendous thick richness. That kind of Chypre belly, which I love from the original.
Just smelling this on my hand now, it makes me realise. I think for the first time in a long time, it's made me realise how limited smelling stuff on a card actually is. That thing comes to life on skin in such a magical way.
Are created for skin, they're made to come alive once they meet your body heat and your skin chemistry.
It's I mean,
speechless.
It's everything I love about the original in that it feels there's a familiar classic French perfume elegance to it, but there are bright, energetic elements to it which I don't get in other
What's the concentration then of this? Would this be an EDP, an X-ray?
X-ray. All these will be X-rays. Because at the end of the day, I feel that, coming from Attars, just, transitioning from Attars to perfumery, I would do my patrons, injustice by giving them anything less than X-ray.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Can I ask a silly question?
Go ahead, please.
With the original Attars, would you ever wear that and then put this as a sort of layering, or
Why not?
Would you think that would be a sort of?
That would work. Yes, if you want to be a, I don't want to give the genre away because these lot are a bit clever. Not a bit clever, very clever. Well done. Anyway,
Apart from you.
yeah. What I was going to say was, unless you want to smell like a bomb, a scented bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it would be a bit too much. The oil and the spray together, it would be a bit too much.
I mean, that's already
it will get
enormous.
you too
isn't it?
noticed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It will get you too, noticed miles away.
Do you know, very, very rarely, I have to say, does the perfume bring a tear to my eye. This actually really has. I genuinely feel a tear in my eye smelling that, because there's so much care and love into that, and you can just tell, it's there.
Thank you.
Like when you hear a great symphony performed amazingly by the best orchestra in the world, you think, okay, that's next level.
Now, next one.
Sorry.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! I'm hiding the bottle.
Oh,
So
this is enormous.
This is one of your SP. Oh, a kind of a thick, oh my God. Ambery, kind of tobacco-y. Jesus. Oh, God.
This should really be on some sort of adult setting for the people watching at home, shouldn't it?
Oh my God, it's like thick,
That's really
syrupy, like wading, like bathing in a kind of golden treacle.
And sort of
Golden
biscuity, biscuity cereal.
Yeah, biscuity golden grahams, ginger nut.
It's quite cakey. But on skin, it is just...
It's just teetering. It's not quite. It's not quite what I would say gourmand, but it's just there's thick richness, ambered, treacle, caramel.
But on skin, it is something else. It basically becomes...
I got a bit there.
It's like
Alive.
it's like that sort of black treacle,
Do a
isn't
little
it?
bit, yeah, because I don't want to stain your watch. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Oh Jesus. That is, it's sexy as hell, isn't it?
Yeah?
Sort of that juice you get really concentrated from like prunes. Really rich.
Wow. That is really intense. But intense in a completely inviting. It's not like shouting to me. I'm gonna smell it on the skin.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Sort of like a cherry drop aspect there.
Is there like a cherry tobacco-y thing? I get this kind of tobacco-y ambered, golden syrup, honey, golden grahams, ginger nut biscuit.
Yeah.
Bits of like Jamaica ginger cake.
Good thing is, Yanne has given permission to talk about the Visiteur.
great.
Not to mention the name.
Yeah.
But I can talk about the concept freely.
Oh, fantastic.
God, that is amazing.
Brilliant. Let's give it a green light.
They are very different. They are.
They're hugely different. I didn't want, with regards to the first one, I wanted, it to be wearable not only by men but also I wanted it to be. Let me rephrase that. I wanted to be wearable for women, but also by men. Second one, same thing. Or basically all 4 or 5. Or 6 or 7, whatever. Yep.
Yeah, even the Fougère doesn't smell like a masculine Fougère. We often lavender. We tend to almost always think of as masculine, don't we?
Well, wait till you smell this.
Oh, yes.
You're gonna hold.
Let's let everybody
Oh,
see.
see, that lavender is amazing as well.
So we get back to smell.
Dun, 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 dun. Do not drop
The
it.
original Fougère Royale. We're going to
Bit of
smell.
perfume porn.
We're going to smell the original Fougère Royale and also Paul Poiret's Moment Supreme. So my French is rubbish. How do you say it in French? Moment Supreme? Moment Supreme?
Moment suprême, yeah.
Moment Supreme. See,
Yeah.
I don't have the... Anyway, And the reason why I bought these two is to treat these two lovely boys, lovely guys here. Not only these, I bought the others as well, and for them, also to see what inspires me in terms of, whenever I try to create a composition, the process that I go through, I try to, introduce you to that process. So,
should we smell the Visiteur first?
I was going to say it would be best because the Visiteur is incredibly powerful.
Okay.
Incredibly powerful.
Okay.
And if you smell this, you won't be able to smell nothing. It is.
We have made that mistake in the past, haven't we, occasionally, and then
working through a sample pack and going, can't smell
can't smell anything. I've done that once or twice, especially with a sulfur-based material, and my nose was so. Pyrazines, pure pyrazines.
Yeah. Oh, is that the popcorn?
Well, that's what there's cocoa popcorn, and then even a 0.1%.
I can smell anything for about 2-3 hours. Okay, so this is Moment Supreme.
This feels so naughty.
Whoever. I need to do yours as well.
Do you just want to hold it up again, just so we get some perfume porn? Wowzers. God. That's it.
So,
oh my God.
in terms of Moment Supreme, there was also one by Jean Pateau, Moment Supreme, but these two are totally different compositions, but it's by the same perfumer. And the lavender composition that's going to be released under my brand SPP was inspired originally by this, and then later on, I would say a couple of years went by, and then I purchased this beautiful gem, which is the original Fougère Royale, and I realized how close this was to this.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then hopefully you'll see that there's a similarity between that lavender composition and these two beautiful beasts here.
I have to say, I love them. I love the freshness of that, and I love the vibrancy of it. And I did not expect that at all
from something that's 100 years old. Amazing.
100 years old.
Over 100.
Not the perfume name, but the actual juice in the bottle.
Yeah. And it kind of feels modern.
Totally,
modern in a good way.
Do you know what it gives me a little reminder of? The Geranium by Frederick Malle. A little, tiny little hint of
without
that.
the geranium.
Yeah.
Kind of without the mint, with the mintiness toned down.
The mintiness and the white musky.
That's so. It's incredible. It's incredible that something that old can smell that.
You would never
fresh.
No, you'd never think.
But untainted.
But even on this one, you can smell that beautiful ambery, heated earthiness.
Yeah, it's just a warm underbelly.
And then you have this here, the Fougère Royale.
Which you can still buy, but not the same thing, apparently.
It's a masterpiece, and I swear to God. One.
Thank you so much.
And this one here, you'll see there's an total overdose of coumarin.
Thank you. Oh my God, just that kind of creamy. That's just super elegant. It's almost like grass more than lavender. And the feeling of sun on your face. Jesus. Oh.
So I accidentally created
absolutely.
quite accurate presentation.
Yeah, well, that's not.
That's really interesting. That's not the kind of stuff I smelt a week ago, actually, just by chance. And this is another thing altogether.
Isn't it amazing how a perfume, again, that old can smell so, kind of new and bright and energetic. And oh God, that's really amazing.
You really see what companies like Penhaligon's were trying to do with English Fern. I mean, they were really going for that. I mean,
but there's the same kind of warmed earth and
it's very beautiful.
And feeling of sun on your face.
Yeah.
That was in your Fougère.
I have to say, your Fougère is another level again. The warmth of yours.
It's just that warmth.
Yeah.
Which I want to recreate, which is in both these. There's that warmth.
But there's an understated clarity They don't feel like big fragrances, but that's why they almost feel like solar floors, or that you don't feel this. I'm sure there are things propelling it, but it doesn't feel there's anything pushing that lavender towards you. It's just naturally just feeling it as if you'd walked through the field and it was brushing against your legs.
It just has a real confidence to it, doesn't it?
I try to create almost like a photorealistic impression of what is in my mind. I'm standing in a lavender field, in a bright, hot May day. The sun hitting my face, the breeze coming through, and all that delicious lavender going inside my nostrils.
Yeah.
And me thanking God for being alive at that moment.
Absolutely.
I think it's a very, it's kind of happiness as well. It puts you, on a cold, rainy day, it puts you in the south of France in a field with the sun.
Exactly.
I can think of a lot of people, not just me, a lot of people who are going to be excited.
Yeah.
I've got a friend who's a real Fougère nerd, and he's going to wet himself when he smells it.
Yeah, absolute masterpieces.
So, shall I talk about the
Visiteur?
Yeah.
So this is, again, we smelt the first 3 releases from Visiteur. Remind us of the name of the brains behind the company.
Jan Janne, please don't kill me because I can't pronounce your surname. Is Janne von Reimer? I think
That sounds good.
I think.
Yeah, we'll get that. Yeah.
He's one of my closest friends, but he's going to kill me when he sees me. But he won't kill me. But he will be like, Pash, what's wrong with you? This is how you pronounce it. He'll probably slap me with a Schustroming, even though he's from Finland. Anyway,
But I found when we all of his 3 first releases, there was really 3 different perfumers, obviously, but there was really good storytelling, and I think most of those fragrances were in 2 acts, weren't they? So you could have had, and you could really see, the way he'd curated them. There was real story through perfume. So, what does yours smell like?
okay, my one is. This one here is incredibly close to my heart. Close to my heart as well as to Janne as well, because Janne wanted me to create a perfume that interprets and explains depression, psychological depression. It's something that I suffer from quite badly, unfortunately. Or fortunately, and there are times where I have gone into the depths of what I suffer from and didn't know that I was going to come out. And I wanted to recreate. Of course, at the end of the day, everything that somebody suffers from, physically, psychologically, be it depression, be it bipolar, be it anxiety, be it even a bruised knee, is subjective. Everybody's experience is different. However, this is my interpretation, and what I want people to see what I go through when I go into depression here, and it's something that's close to me and Janne as well, because Janne, he also goes through those periods, and we discuss, and then I created this composition, and it's one of those compositions that's got is super complex. It's got this duality to it, because the duality is from the outset, when you're from a spectator from far, it smells, it smells different to when you smell it close. So from far, it smells really, really beautiful, melancholic and delicate. When you come close, it smells very intense and very bracing and almost like, what is going on? This is like unbelievable. So where I'm trying to describe to people, a person that goes through depression from the outset, they may seem totally normal, may seem like absolutely lovely, beautiful people, but as you try to get close to them, and when you speak to them, you find out, oh God, they have a whole world on their shoulders. They have this darkness, and which is bringing them down, which is sinking them down. So I wanted to explain that through this fragrance as well. And the other thing is with this fragrance is it's extremely, extremely long lasting. So it's one of those fragrances which I wanted to create to show that, you know, depression is not gone just like that, you know, in a few seconds. You know, people that go through depression, it happens, you know, on a daily basis. And it's an ongoing process. And some people that do suffer from depression, unfortunately, you know, think that this will never end. This is life. And therefore, some of them, unfortunately, choose to end their lives. Praise be God, you know, I haven't, and so a lot of people haven't. But I want to, with this composition, after, let's say, 12 hours, it smells totally different to how it smelled at the beginning. So at the very end, it smells very, just very beautiful, delicate muguet, which comes up right at the very end.
The light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly, light at the end of the tunnel, and also the very fact that, you know what, tomorrow is a new day. It's a new day, new beginning, you know. Right now, what you're feeling, as bad as it may be, is not everything. Everything is finite, you know, good and bad. You know, nothing is infinite, you know, apart from God. But in terms of what you're feeling, what you're going through, what you may be facing, everything is finite. That you have good days and you have bad days.
And there is light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully.
Amen. Hopefully.
How incredible for a perfume to end with light rather than...
rather than, because we
something you normally start with,
don't we?
Yeah.
You start with bright and you end up with dark base.
Yeah, exactly. So with this one here, it gets more and more intense, and you know, like I said, from distance it smells very different to how it smells up close. And like I said, the reason is, you know, the whole idea of a person seeming fine from far until you speak to them. Right.
So this is what art is all about, isn't it? It's exploring emotions and going to places that take courage.
Wow, crikey. This is quite a different world to everything else we smelled today.
Oh, wow.
From far, if you put it away, if you can smell the air, in the air, it smells very different to how it smells when you smell. It's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, it's
there's sort of quite a smile in the air.
But there's there's kind of dark. I find it much kind of in a way less conventional, and not the other fragrances that are conventional, but the other there was more of a nod to kind of the classic. Whereas I find it quite difficult to kind of pick things out of here.
It's troubling, isn't it?
There's a kind of slight dark, austere. There's not bright, happy notes. There's no citrus. There's not even any incense or any fruit or any vanilla or any.
It's just despair.
I kind of get cold stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like somewhere you don't want to be, and somewhere troubling. I sort of think of. This just sounds so bizarre to say this, but it smells almost to me like a hospital ward with smells of medicine and cleaners and sort of troubling. Beautiful in its own right, but the context makes it
exactly.
Yeah, I can definitely see what you mean by cleaning. God,
sort of beautiful though.
I get soapiness as well.
The artificial happiness, thanks to the lovely antidepressants.
Yeah, well, this
actually no, it smells.
This is it, absolutely. Yeah,
I'm almost not the plastic coated ones, but when you get the kind of almost like chalky ones. There's a chalkiness. I also get chalk, not iris, like pure chalk. Like chalk scratched against the whiteboard, against the blackboard, or even a blackboard. Yeah, this is very, very different.
Very different.
This is much more cinematic.
Yeah.
That's good.
In feel.
That's good.
I mean, this is where it comes close to being music.
I can't. It's very difficult, given what you've said and what you've said, Joe. Because I'm sorry for saying this, but I'm kind of feeling like a psychiatric ward. I think it's the mention of the hospital. And so there's a slight metallicness in there as well.
The metallicness I try to recreate here because from personal experience, from my own, when I suffer from, depression myself, and not only that, I remember, when I used to work in Barclays, a lot of the customers were stressful, stressed out. Everybody is stressed out about money, but they were really stressed out. I could smell it in their breath and in the skin. And especially also myself, whenever I go through depression, I feel that I ooze the smell from my body because of the high cortisol. It's almost that my breath and my sweat becomes almost metallic.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing I smelt in terms of the people that I used to meet in Barclays when I used to serve them. They'll be speaking about, oh God, man, please, don't breathe on me. But I could smell that, and I could smell, it's like, oh God, it just makes me shudder because I could still see how angry they are, how disappointed they are because their account has been closed, you know, and here is me trying to explain to them, sorry, I can't do nothing about it, here's your money now, bye-bye.
Hint of swimming pool as well. I got water at the start, but now I think it's almost kind of swimming pool. Hint of hot iron.
Yeah.
Hot iron.
I mean, it's just so troubling.
It's
almost not worth taking the notes
different.
apart.
It's so different to everything else we've got on.
You were talking about, you were saying Thebes is dark and austere. Well, yeah.
But this is much more so. In that there were flowers and things which I could recognise.
Do you know what's so interesting here is the fact that you could so easily have gone down a route of making it really dark and sort of gothic and black.
It's not black.
But it's not even dark.
It's whites. It's austere whites.
It's sort of it's light and bright.
Yeah.
Yet somehow
clinical whites.
Yeah. It's sort of too perfect, too clean to the point where you think, where's the human being behind that?
I get soap and detergent and metal, like polished metal. I just can't. No, I can't get this hospital image out of my head. Yeah. I'm thinking of those kidney. You get those kidney dishes.
Gosh, yeah.
But yeah, in terms of
that's very, very
what was going to say about so in terms of notes here, you can't decipher it, but there's a lot of violets in there.
Okay.
A lot of violet, ambergris.
Okay.
Patchouli. What's it called? Claret sage. Lily of the valley, of course. Jasmine and other.
All very beautiful things. Yet somehow you've managed to make something that is so troubling and but from a distance, like you said, in the air,
it smells amazing.
Yeah. It smells amazing. Bright and bracing, uplifting.
It does feel, in the air, it reminds me of tiny bit, and I don't want it to be derogative because the fragrance I think is really good, but of grey flannel. In the air, people say it's not. It's a brilliant fragrance. I get a hint of that in the air, but then
when you smell it up close, you're like, what on earth?
But grey flannel feels quite funereal. I think. And actually, I think, as I said before, there's a slight relationship between grey flannel and Thebes, a kind of distant relation. Wow. Again, I'd love to see this on skin. I can't.
Are you brave enough?
Yeah, sure. I might have to
I'm not brave enough. Because I keep smelling it and I'll feel really down.
Yeah. But this is basically my way of reaching out to people that don't understand depression. That say, oh, come on, mate, buckle up.
Yeah. Just smile and
just
you'll be
smile.
okay.
Nah, unfortunately it doesn't work like that. I'll put a little bit, not too much, because I don't want you to be... Is that enough or do you want more?
I have one more spray here.
I'll give you a full dose.
Oh, cranky.
Often comedians suffer from depression. They spend all day just sort of making people laugh, and actually inside they're really
just eating up inside. It's like what's his name?
See now,
Robin Williams.
Yeah.
But now it feels more white floral.
Oh yeah.
If I go like that.
Yeah.
It's a little bit less, it's a tiny bit less austere on skin when it kind of reacts to flesh and heat, but it's still quite scary. It's still, especially I feel that Sultan Pasha DNA is not. Maybe it is, but that warm, resinous underbelly, which I associate, I'm not getting that. I feel.
I intentionally did it this way. I wanted people to feel what I feel sometimes. This is it. It's not nice.
Really,
it's not nice.
It's
beautiful. It's
in the air.
Beautiful in the air, but when you think about it, it's.
I think when I do that, I'm getting a little bit of the Zoologist as well. So I think, that smells nice. Oh no.
Yeah, I think that's incredible.
Actually, if I smell it on my skin, there's something.
Yeah, it's a slightly creamier thing.
Again, I think it's something I think I want to wear and decipher over several wearings.
With this one here, believe it or not, this is hilarious. Well, not hilarious actually. It touched me. Cut out that hilarious part, please, thank you. The hilarious part, because it wasn't hilarious. Two of my friends smelt it. They never smelt it. They started crying.
Wow.
They started crying, and I was like, "Wow, okay, thank you, thank you for those tears." They literally started crying. They're like, especially after I explained them the story, tears.
Yeah. It really feels like that.
Bottled melancholy. And, oh yeah, it's really even the effect is quite unsettling. The dichotomy itself is unsettling. The fact that it's so different in the air to up close.
Because we want familiarity. We want to know.
And also, all the things you've described are familiar, but all the things we described, you listed violet, ambergris, patchouli. We listed, soap, hospitals, metal.
But
wow, I mean, what a great project! What a great way of sort of sharing something that's very personal, I think.
Well, thank you so much, Sultan Pasha, for an extraordinary spectrum of fragrances. Some things which are kind of familiar, and for lovers of Sultan Pasha Attars, I think they will be pleased. But there's also some very different things, especially the Visiteur. Is a very different kind of olfactory experience. But thank you so much for sharing your time and knowledge and your.
It's been a real honour to have you here.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
And we can't wait for them to be released.
So August, September, you were saying around?
Yes. Hopefully by that time, all of them will be released. Not only my work, but also Zoologist and also Visiteur.
Fantastic.
Well. It's been quite an epic video, so I think we're going to sign off there. If you've watched it this far, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
And until next time, happy sniffing.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. God bless.